This ziggurat in Mesopotamia stands at the edge of what we consider recorded history. Standard narratives mark this as the beginning, the moment 6,000 years ago when humans first abandoned a nomadic life to build the world's first cities. But the biological record tells a much longer story. Anatomically modern humans, with our exact brain capacity and physical potential, have existed for at least 300,000 years. When you plot those 300,000 years, all of recorded civilization accounts for a mere 1.5% of our journey. This leaves nearly 294,000 years of blank space. We are left to investigate what a species with our intelligence and drive was doing during that vast, unrecorded stretch of time. Our belief that history moves in a straight line from simple to complex is often a result of chronological arrogance. We assume that because we don't see evidence of ancient technology, it never existed. The Earth itself is an active agent of erasure. It is a volatile environment that systematically destroys the physical footprint of any civilization that inhabits it. Modern materials are surprisingly fragile. In a few centuries, concrete crumbles. Steel skeletons rust to nothing. Even plastics eventually break down and vanish from the geological record. Global cataclysms accelerate this process. The Younger Dryas period triggered massive glacial collapses and flash floods that reshaped entire continents, while supervolcanoes have repeatedly plunged the world into volcanic winters, collapsing ecosystems in an instant. After 100,000 years of these cycles, the only human creations that remain are those carved from massive, solid stone. This geological reality suggests we are living through a window of planetary amnesia. The silence of the deep past may be a result of the Earth's ability to wipe the slate clean, rather than a lack of human achievement. The Sahara was not always a wasteland. Between 5,000 and 11,000 years ago, it was a lush, tropical landscape of freshwater lakes and rivers, capable of sustaining massive populations. Deep within Mauritania sits the Richat structure. Its concentric rings align with Plato's descriptions for Atlantis. The geology contains physical evidence of a sudden inundation. Researchers documented fossilized saltwater mollusks and massive erosion channels carved by rapid water flow. The timing of this flooding correlates with Meltwater Pulse 1b, roughly 11,600 years ago, when collapsing ice sheets caused global sea levels to rise catastrophically. These geological markers suggest that myths of sunken civilizations are actually historical accounts of the physical events that destroyed the societies preceding our own. Roughly 15,000 years ago, a culture known as the Natufians appeared in the Levant. They were building permanent stone settlements and cultivating wild grains, millennia before the traditional timeline for civilization begins. These people were sophisticated architects and engineers. They constructed semi-subterranean dwellings with stone walls and organized communal spaces, demonstrating a level of planning that defies the labels of primitive hunter-gatherers. Genetic research identifies their maternal and paternal lineages as having deep North and East African origins. As the Sahara dried out, these populations migrated toward the Nile Valley, bringing their architectural traditions to Egypt. The Sphinx provides a physical timestamp. Its deep vertical fissures are the result of prolonged rainfall, a climate unseen since the Green Sahara period, thousands of years before the pyramids. The complexity of early Egyptian society suggests a direct inheritance. It carries forward the engineering and symbolic legacy of an older, advanced African culture that thrived long before the desert arrived. The region around Mount Ararat in Turkey is often cited as the starting point for humanity's most ancient flood survivor accounts. Recent underwater surveys in Lake Van discovered massive, perfectly cut rectangular stone blocks buried beneath the silt. These engineered megalithic ruins are estimated to be at least 15,000 years old. These structures match local cuneiform tablets, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, describing a global flood and a survivor who landed here to restart society. These texts document an organized knowledge network, recording efforts to preserve data and maintain cultural contact after a planetary catastrophe. When viewed alongside this physical evidence, humanity's oldest religious texts operate as historical records of survivors who lived through a cyclical planetary reset. This polygonal wall demonstrates masonry incredibly difficult to achieve. Massive, irregular blocks fit perfectly without a drop of mortar. We see this identical earthquake-proof technique across the globe, in Peru, Italy, Japan, and the Mediterranean, a shared engineering language on completely disconnected continents. These cultures also shared specific symbols and architectural features: the handbag motif, strange stone nubs on megalithic blocks, and precisely angled trapezoidal doorways. The consistency of these idiosyncratic details suggests a shared origin or a global network of exchange. This data is often resisted because it challenges the linear model of human progress. Acknowledging a global African-rooted predecessor society would require us to rewrite the foundations of our biological and historical narrative. The megaliths scattered across the Earth represent a high-durability form of engineering. These structures were carved from massive stone, the only material that can endure a planetary reset and carry a message into the next cycle. History appears to be cyclical. If previous golden ages were collapsed by the Earth's natural volatility, it suggests our modern world is more vulnerable and our ancestors more resilient than we have been taught to believe.